Hello and welcome to the Stefan Modesti podcast. It is Monday, December 11, 2023. And I will call this one The Church with the Gunshots. It's a true story that happened to me in the early 90s. I was working for the security company, and which was actually what they call location support services. And what that was is it's essentially a security company for the film industry. And what happens is when a film production company secures a location, there is they have to implement security from a certain midnight at one date to closing midnight the following or week or whatever, however long they need the location. They will have to put insurance on that locations, and part of the stipulation is that property has to be, or that location has to be monitored throughout that insurance period. And one of those clauses is that you have to have somebody there. So that's really what I was. I was security. I wasn't standing there with a uniform on and a walkie or a radio system. I just basically, in this case, I sat in my car and I was watching a church that was a location that was going to be filming. Now this was like, I don't remember what day of the week it was, but it was before anything was even being done at this church. Well, what they did do, they did set up some equipment inside. It was an interior shot, and they did set up some wiring and rigging for the shoot inside of the church. But other than that, there was nothing external to the church that was any sign of a film set. There were no trucks left behind. There was no nothing. It was just basically me sitting in my car. So it was a night shift. It worked from 9 till probably 9 in the morning or something like that. 12-hour shift. So I showed up with my car, and I had one of the early renditions of a cell phone. It was nothing that you would use other than to call, because it didn't even have text. So it was just a phone call, a phone for emergencies, and that's basically what it was. And I had my newspaper and some food and stuff to camp there for the night. And I didn't have access to the building either, so I couldn't go into this church. So long story short, there was a roundabout in front of the church, and the church was on top of a hill, and you had to drive, was off a small, like kind of a roadway, highway, sort of paved road. So you'd come up from the highway, or the road, sorry, and you'd go up a hill and kind of curve a little bit, and then at the top of the curve there was a church, and it had a roundabout in the front with one street light. And why I mentioned that is because as it got dark, I wanted to read, and I didn't want to use the light in my car the whole time. So I thought I use the street light. It's just enough to read a newspaper. So I put my car in the middle of the roundabout, right below it was a street lamp pole sort of thing going on there, and that was the only light in the whole area. It was all surrounded by farmland, and I was sitting there, and I was reading my newspaper, chilled out, whatever, listening to the radio a little bit. And I heard 2 or 3 really big gunshots go off. And because I was on like sort of a flat area, I mean, I was on top of a hill, mind you, but around it was all like open farmland. I heard these gunshots and I was like, wow, that was loud. And I'm like, okay, I'm sitting here in the open under the street light. I'm like, not good. So I sort of like started my car quickly without even turning the lights on. I had an old car. You had to manually turn the lights on. So I backed up the car right up against the church between these 2 bushes, and just to be out of view, because I don't know what these gunshots are for. I don't, you know what I mean? So, and I'm like sitting low in my car at this point. I turned the car off and I'm listening. I got the window rolled down and I'm listening for anything. And I didn't hear any more gunshots after that, but I was like, wow, this was, So I'm sitting there contemplating, okay, what do I do? Do if I hear some more, do I leave? Should I leave now? Should I, So I just waited it out. And now I'm crouched low in the car. Like I'm literally my eyeballs are just peeking up over the dash, and I'm looking around and listening. And I rolled the window down on the other side a little bit too, just so I could hear from both sides. And I didn't hear anything. And then I saw a couple. Now, being where I was, I could see down through a little bit between the trees. I could see a bit of the road. So you could kind of see headlights going by and a little bit of the road. And I saw these flashing lights go by, and I saw these 2 police cars go flying up the road. And I thought to myself, wow, okay, that's kind of good. I'm assuming they're responding to the gunshots. And then a few minutes later, I see headlights pulling up the hill of the church where I was, and I'm thinking, wait a second. Now, I'm sitting here, and I'm like backed in between these bushes. Like, it kind of looks suspicious. Like, why am I in this church? Like, it just dawned on me. I'm like, wait a second. Now, I could be in a little problem here. So it was definitely a police car, and it pulled up, and I was facing the police car pulled up, and he had a side to me. He was looking, I guess, a different direction into the fields, and he had one of those spotlights, you know, the ones that are on the door with the lever, and they could move the light around the spotlight. And move. Anyway, so that was moving around, and all of a sudden was right on me, and I'm sitting there in my car looking straight at this police car with these lights on me. And then I could hear his car door open, and I could see him, a silhouette of him walking toward the car, and I'm like sitting there going like, what do I do? And I was like kind of crouched low, so I didn't want to like move weird. Anyways, I was just thinking, man, this is not good. So all I did is I put both of my hands on the steering wheel, and I just stared at him. And then he looked at me and goes, hello? And I said, yeah, I'm here. And like, now I have the palm of my hands on the top of the steering wheel, and I got my fingers up in the air. And he's like, he goes, he's slowly walking up. Now, I can't tell if he had his gun in his hand or not, or in his holster. I mean, he's not supposed to draw his gun. But anyways, I couldn't see it. Just like a silhouette of a man. And he had his arm definitely on his holster, and the other hand on a flashlight. He was walking toward me, and he was saying, hello. And I'm like, hello, yeah, hi. And then meanwhile, I had my hands. He says, can you step out of the car? And so I slowly, opened the door, and I got my hands like, I mean, I didn't have him in the air, but I kind of had him to the side and out. And he walked right up to me, and he's like staring at me, and I'm standing there going, he goes, so what is going on here? And I said, I'm doing security for a film. And he looks around, he's thinking to himself, like, what? And I'm thinking to myself, this is really a silly explanation. Like, there's no, obviously. So I said, I heard some gunshots. Is that why you're here? And he goes, yes. And he goes, how many? And I said, I heard about three or four. And he goes, what area? And I kind of pointed. They came from over there somewhere. So I said, look, I'm doing security for a film set. And I was parked by that light, but when I heard those gunshots, I backed my car in here, and that's why I'm hiding back in here. And he's still like, so were you filming any scenes or anything like that? He was kind of, I don't know if he was serious or not, but I'm like, no, there's no filming. We're setting up for a film set, and I'm just a security guy to monitor the site. So I said, if I could show you, if you could flash your light in the church. I said, I don't have access to the church, but if you could look in there, you could see some filming equipment and all that. So he said, yeah, go ahead. So I walked in front of him, and I walked to the church. Anyways, you don't need it around. It ended well. He just took off, and I said to him, like, can you please tell your friends that I'm here? Like, I'm not, if any more gunshots go off, like, I'm just here. And he's like, well, we don't really cover this area, but we heard the gunshots, so that's why we're here. So just hang tight. If you hear too many of them, just take off if you have to, or call 911, and have a good night. And then he took off, and I was like, wow, man, was I thinking to myself, like, that could have gone so wrong, possibly, I don't know, but that was I think that's one of those days or those moments in my life that I could actually hear my heart beat, and that was a scary moment. Anyways, have a great day.